Good afternoon. Thank y'all for coming. Obviously, we're here in reference to a shooting incident that occurred on Mitchell Road on June the 9th, 2024 at approximately 11:30 a.m. At 11:31, Harrison County Dispatch Communication Division received a call that a subject was named Brian Jamison, 44-year-old black male, was on the ground and had been shot at that location. Dispatcher notified the patrol units to be en route, at which time 7 deputies plus DPS, Texas DPS, checked en route to the location. At 11:32, the caller advised that the actor was unknown, and at 11:35, the caller advised that one of the subjects had a gunshot wound to the head and advised that the incident had occurred at a residence belonging to Audrey Jamison. At 11:36, caller advised there were 2 subjects that had been shot, one in the head and another one in the leg. At 11:38, the caller advised that Derek Jamison had been shot by his uncle Brian Jamison, advised that there was a firearm located in the grass. At 11:39, the caller advised one of the subjects was on the side of the road and the other was in the front yard. At 11:42, the 1st HCSO unit arrived on scene, Sergeant Ventus, to assess the scene and verified that we did have victims at the scene. At 11:43, the deputy advised that one of the subjects appeared to be deceased. At 11:44, the 2nd HCSO unit arrived on scene with multiple others subsequently pulling in just after. They advised the scene was secure for fire and EMS. Fire and EMS units at 11:49 arrived on scene and began assessing the scene and providing medical care to the wounded. Brian Ray Jamison, 44-year-old black male, a resident of Mitchell Road, Marshall, Texas, had a gunshot wound to the left thigh and an additional gunshot wound to the buttock. He was transported to Good Shepherd Medical Center, Longview. Audrey Jamison, 65-year-old black female, also a resident on Mitchell Road, owner of the residence the incident occurred at, had a head wound from some shattered glass and debris at the scene. She was transported to Marshall Good Shepherd Medical Center. Derek Lynn Jamison, 24-year-old black male, another resident of Mitchell Road, was pronounced dead at the scene. He had an autopsy was ordered by J.P. George and should be carried out today, maybe tomorrow morning. Criminal Investigation Division at 12:19 arrived on the scene and began processing the scene and interviewing individuals. Sergeant Livingston and Investigator Bruno were the lead investigators on the scene. Marshall Police Department's Crime Scene Unit came and assisted at the scene along with the Harrison County CSI. The details of the scene, as we know them to be thus far, is an argument began between Audrey Jamison, the grandmother, and Derek Jamison, the grandson to Audrey, regarding Derek needing to move from the residence and seek employment. Derek exits the residence in anger and proceeds to a red Mercedes that is parked in the driveway with the passenger side towards the front of the house. Frederick Jamison, a witness and uncle to Derek, walks out of the residence behind Derek and stops near the red Mercedes in an attempt to calm Derek down and speak with him about the altercation. While doing so, Derek removes from the red Mercedes a handgun to which he points in the direction of Frederick, who is unarmed. During this time, Audrey Jamison approached the situation and is standing on the driver's side of the vehicle with the door open between her and Derek. Audrey is attempting to calm Derek down, who is holding a firearm towards Frederick. During the verbal engagements, Brian Jamison, an additional uncle of Derek, begins approaching the situation holding a firearm. At that time, it is believed that Derek sees the firearm that Brian is holding and responds by firing approximately 3 rounds in the direction of Brian, striking him twice, once in the leg, femur, and once in the buttocks. Subsequent to being wounded and during his collapse, Brian returns fire approximately 5 times, striking Derek once and the red Mercedes multiple times. During the exchange of gunfire, Audrey sustained injuries in her head and face due to glass fragments stemming from one of the rounds striking the driver's door and window of the red Mercedes. Frederick did not sustain injuries, remained on scene, and has cooperated with investigators during the investigation. Investigators have obtained and executed 2 search warrants as part of their investigation procedure. The residential search warrants were issued by Judge Brad Moore of the 71st District Court of Harrison County. Brian Jameson is still receiving medical treatment for his injuries. I think he will most likely undergo several surgeries before we are able to speak with him further. The investigation is obviously ongoing. We hope that this story is what we think it is. If it is, this case will most likely become a grand jury case. In being that, there are Texas laws that protect people from certain situations. This case could very well be, if it is the way it lays out, a third-party case. This case could change. That's not a definite. It could go a whole different direction. So it's still under investigation. We're still trying to figure out what's factual information and what is the best evidence that we can collect and prove to go with the stories that we have received thus far. As the investigation continues and more can be released, obviously we'll release it at that time. Any questions?
At this time, no suspects are in custody on this?
No, sir. The 2 shooters of this incident, one is deceased and one is in the hospital undergoing many surgeries for injuries sustained during the shooting. So no arrests have been made at this time.
And the deceased shooter, that's the grandson who was at the house?
That's correct. He lived with the grandmother.
And just in case if somebody have any information about anything, how can they get in contact with y'all?
Obviously, you can call the Harrison County Sheriff's Office at any time, 923-4000. If you want to remain anonymous, if there's a reason for that, you can obviously call Crime Stoppers. Most of the people on scene at this incident were family. They were having a small family gathering when this happened. There was about 10 people there. Roughly, not everybody was outside at the time of the incident, but everybody there is known and known family.
Can you speak more on the argument that ensued at the beginning of this incident? You touched on how the person who passed away was, I guess, told by other family members they were seeking employment or wanting him to seek employment.
Well, what happened is Audrey told her grandson that lived with her that it was time to move out, and he needed to get a job, is the story that we were given. This apparently incited anger in the grandson, which led to one of the uncles obviously intervening a little bit to get him to calm down, which spread outside to where the firearm was first branded.
Were there any other injuries reported as far as the bystanders or any other people that were gathering?
Just to Audrey from the fragments on the car. Y'all good?
Yes, sir, I guess.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.